Guys, today we have a speed reviews video. I'm going to be giving you some mini reviews on products that I have been testing out recently. We have the new LYS Cream Bronzer stick, some blushes from Kokie, the new Urban Decay Mini Naked Sin palette, among a few other things. So I'm going to try to make this an actually speedy speed reviews. This is one of the last videos that I'm filming in this apartment in Georgia. We are moving out the day after tomorrow, so that's why my background looks a little bit different. I'm actually sitting on a step stool on the floor because we don't have any chairs left in our apartment. But I'm gonna try to film a few videos today so that we have some videos that can go up while we are in transit. So the first product that I wanted to talk about today is the new LYS Cream Bronzer stick. This has been getting a lot of buzz lately. They did send this to me in PR. I was so excited to test it out. They sent me the lightest shade, which is the shade Motivate. It does come in 5 shades. That is what the lightest shade Motivate looks like. So this lightest shade is a really nice bronzer tone. It is warm, but I don't find it to pull overly orange. I love the formula of this. It is so creamy. If you like the Oma Beauty contour and highlight stick, I find the formula of this actually very similar. It glides on very, very creamy. It blends out easily. Today I blended it out with a sponge and it worked great. Normally I use a brush, but I just didn't have the right kind of brush with me today, so a sponge worked well. You could also blend it out with your fingers if you wanted to. Very easy to work with. It is very pigmented though, so a little bit goes a long way. And this does also dry down to a nice satin finish. So yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about this. Honestly, I love the packaging too. I really like their triangular packaging. It is plastic, but it's very, very sturdy feeling, but lightweight at the same time. And I really like that triangular tip. I don't find it difficult to work with or anything. In fact, I kind of like how I can just get a really thin line if I want to, because like I said, a little goes a long way. You don't want to go overboard with this because it's very, very pigmented. So it's $19 at Sephora. If you wait around for the next sale, you can get it for even less. I think that's a great price for such a good, high quality cream bronzer. So next up I have some new blushes from Kokie. These are their new Soft Gradient blushes. They sent me a bunch of shades. I ended up only keeping 2. I have the shades Bellissima and Star-Crossed. So these are a matte powder blush. All of the ones that they sent were matte as well. I think they're all matte. As you can see, they do have kind of an ombre gradient to them. This one here is Bellissima, and this one is Star-Crossed, so 2 very different shades. The one I have on today is Star-Crossed, which is a great bubblegum pink blush. If you are into the kind of super bubblegummy pink blush trend right now, this would be a great one to check out. And I saw a TikTok where somebody said that this is a dupe for that really popular Dior pink blush. Can't confirm for myself because I haven't tried the Dior one, but if you're looking for that kind of color of blush for more of an affordable price, this is a really good one. These blushes also are very pigmented, so a little goes a long way. And then the other shade I have is Bellissima. I actually think of the 2, this is my favorite. I am loving this blush so much for the summer. This gives the perfect kind of sunburnt or sun-kissed color to your cheeks because it is like a true, almost brick red kind of color on one side, and then the other side is a light peach. So I'll just kind of swirl my brush evenly throughout the pan or just kind of stick to the middle of the pan, and I get the most perfect kind of sunburnt blush look. It looks so natural on my skin and just really, really great for summer. I also think this would make a good color for the fall because it's kind of like a deep burnt red kind of color. I really don't think I've ever owned a blush that was this color, like this kind of shade of that reddish color, and I think red blush is kind of hard to come by. So this one, Bellissima, is definitely something special. I even made a TikTok about it and I applied it in that video if you want to see that one in action. Today for the demo I applied this one just because I hadn't applied this one on camera yet. And they have a lot of other shades as well, lots of different light shades, deeper shades, medium shades, so really a little bit of everything. The only thing with gradient blushes like this, especially with this one that has 3 colors in it, because it does fade to this like light orangey peach color, I like that you can kind of customize what color you're getting, but at the same time, you do also have to be kind of careful about making sure that you place your brush in the same spot for both cheeks so that you end up with a consistent color. Sometimes it can end up looking a little inconsistent if you're not careful, so that's the only thing to be aware of with these. I guess if you really wanted one of the colors but you didn't want to deal with that, you could always repress them and just mix it all together, but that's, you know, might be more work than you're willing to do. But just wanted to point that out. But I really, really like these. I think they're fantastic, very pigmented, they last well, they apply smoothly, evenly, really have 0 complaints. But my top favorite is Bellissima for sure. That is a special color. Alright, next I wanted to talk about the new Urban Decay Mini Naked Sin palette. So they recently released 3 of these mini palettes, each of which are based around one of their kind of OG shades. So this one is based around the shade Sin, and it does have Sin in it. And then the other 2 palettes are called Half Baked and Foxy. So Half Baked is kind of like a warm brown looking one, and Foxy has kind of smoky, somewhat olivey tones. So this is Sin. These are the shades that you get in here. 6 shades, and they clearly all lean very light. The deepest shade that you get here is this kind of medium to dark brown color, but as you can see, it is largely just very, very light, soft tones. This probably would not work well for deeper skin tones. Deeper skin tones, you might want to check out the other 2 palettes in this line, because they do seem to have a little bit more depth to them, but this one is just very, very soft, light, rosy tones. I have to say, I've been enjoying this palette. I really like how easy it is to just get a very quick everyday look. These are definitely my kinds of tones for when I'm doing just a quick running errands kind of look, or, you know, just a look like today where I just want to look put together, but I don't want to have to think too much about my eyeshadow. These are really great shades for that. I also used this on my friend when I did her makeup for her wedding. For bridal makeup, I wore it on myself that day as well. So it's a lot of really simple, easy to work with colors. Now, the formula here is nothing spectacular. It's kind of what we've come to expect from Urban Decay's Naked palettes. I just feel like Urban Decay hasn't updated their Naked palette formula in years. And I mean, I wouldn't expect them to, especially if they're making mini palettes based around one of their original shades. I'm guessing it's the same formula that they used in the original Sin, the original Naked palette. That's my guess. There's nothing 2022 about this formula, I guess I would say. They work well, they are buildable, they blend well, they apply just fine. All 6 of the shades in here, I feel like they all work well, but there's nothing that really sets this formula apart from other shadows in my collection. They're just very basic, and I do feel like you can get shadows that perform this way from the drugstore. But if you're looking at this and you're thinking, wow, those look like my perfect colors for just an everyday rosy neutral look, and you like shadows that are just easy to work with, they're not going to go on very, very pigmented right off the bat. It's more like slow, buildable pigmentation. This might be exactly what you're looking for. I would definitely encourage you to wait for a sale because, I mean, I always say that with high-end products, but I definitely don't think this is worth full price. But if you've been looking for a little compact, rosy palette, I do think this one is nice. The packaging is adorable as always. They're great with their packaging. I like that there's no brush in here also. Sometimes I feel like that takes up a lot of unnecessary space. It does have a little mirror, so it's good for kind of on the go. I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with this palette. I've already gotten a lot of use out of it myself, and I'm going to continue to get a lot of use out of it, I think, just because these colors are very up my alley. So for today's look, I did use every shade in here for today's look. I started out my crease with the shade Boring, which is one of my favorite shades in here. I pretty much always dip into that shade first just to kind of start out my crease. It's a nice light tan color that has a little bit of a rosy pull to it, so it's nice for that. Then I applied Twisted, which is that deepest shade, so here you'll get to see just how deep that shade can go. I pretty much built up that shade as deep as it would go on my eyes, and it really doesn't go super, super dark. So if you wanted something really smoky out of that shade, it's not very dramatic at all. This is like a dark brown for someone who doesn't normally like to go very dark with their eyeshadows. It'll deepen up your outer corner a little bit. You can use it for liner, but it's going to go on soft and buildable. But then I tapped the shade Sin all over my lid, the shade that this palette is based around. I feel like this shade is, I know that Sin used to be like such an iconic shade from Urban Decay. It's very, very basic. This kind of shade is like a dime a dozen nowadays. Just a soft, light, pinky, pearly color, but makes a pretty lid shade. And I did tap some of that shade TBH, that slightly more pinky shimmer, kind of in the center of the lid, just to add a little bit more pink to it. And then I took Unlucky on the inner corner and Bad Habit, this white kind of frosty color, as my brow bone highlight. I've actually been really liking that kind of frosty white for the brow bone. I used just a very small amount, and it doesn't go on like opaque white or anything. It just kind of brightens up the brow bone nicely. So that's my little review on the new Mini Naked Sin palette. Is it a must-have? Absolutely not. Did they totally revolutionize neutral pink eyeshadows? No, but it is out there, it is cute, it performs fine. That's my review. I did want to give my review on this Flower liquid liner. This is their new, I don't know how new this is actually, but I've only recently started hearing people talk about it. It's their Forever Wear Winged Liner in the shade Dark and Stormy. This is a dark brown felt tip liner. I've been using this for a few months now, so I feel like I can give a pretty good review because, you know, I've used it for a while. It hasn't dried up. It's still going strong. I really like the tip of this. It's nice and long and kind of flexible, and it tapers to a very, very fine point. So the way I typically like to apply this is I just basically stamp a wing. I kind of hold it on its side and stamp it on there, and then I fill in from there. And normally I take it really just into the center of my upper lash line. I don't usually go all the way into the inner corner. So still a very dark brown, so you still get a good amount of definition. And I think I've had this open for at least 3 months now. Hasn't started to dry out on me, but it's also not overly juicy to where it bleeds everywhere like some do. The only thing with this is that it will fade if your eyes start watering. Sometimes my eyes water like right in the corners and it rubs off immediately. So if you're looking for something really long wearing or waterproof, this is not it. But otherwise, I think it's a perfectly nice liquid liner, and I'm really liking dark brown liner these days. I feel like it's just ever so slightly different than black. It makes a subtle difference, but to me it's just so pretty and just a little bit more natural looking, a little bit softer, even though it's really not that far off from a black. So I am enjoying that. I don't know if I'd repurchase it though once it runs out, just because I think I would prefer something that is waterproof. So if you guys have any good waterproof liquid liner recommendations, let me know. And then the last two products I wanted to share a review on were these two products from Tower 28. I picked these up in a little duo in the last Sephora sale, which was a month or two ago, but I've been using them a while and I feel like I've developed some thoughts on them, so wanted to share them today. But these are the Beach Please Magic Hour Cream Blush and the Shine On Lip Jelly in the shade Pistachio. So two very hyped up products that I finally tried, and I'm very happy to have finally tried these. The cream blush is really nice. I've applied it in a couple videos. I'll link below the video where I think I tried this on for the first time. I love how easy this is to apply. I just apply it with a finger. I've mentioned before, but this reminds me a lot of the Milani Cheek Kiss cream blushes. So if you want something a little bit more affordable, I recommend the Milani ones. Almost identical feel and experience and like level of pigmentation between this and the Milani. I apply both with my fingers. I feel like they both go on with about the same amount of pigmentation and buildability. So if you're wanting something a little bit cheaper, I definitely recommend the Milani. But also the Tower 28 ones aren't crazy expensive. If you do wait for a sale, you can get them for closer to a drugstore price anyway, which is what I did. So really been enjoying this. I really like the color. It's kind of like a nice nude, like slightly warm nude color. It's very natural looking. It does stay more on the tacky side on your cheeks. Like this isn't the kind of cream blush that's going to set down to like a powder matte finish. It does stay kind of juicy, dewy on your cheeks, but I like that personally. I like that it just kind of keeps my cheeks looking nice and plump. And the staying power is also good. I don't have any issues with this fading. I feel like it does last on my cheeks, but I don't normally struggle with blushes fading on me, so probably not the best person to ask about that. And then finally, the Shine On Lip Jelly in Pistachio. This I think is their newest shade, and it is the shade that is right up my alley, a beautiful nude pink color. I feel like the staying power of this gloss, if staying power even matters to you with gloss at all, I do feel like some glosses will just like disappear into your lips in 5 seconds. This, I would say it has kind of a medium level of staying power. Like the shine definitely does kind of sink into your lips and kind of fade away as you talk, eat, and drink. You are going to have to reapply this throughout the day if you want to keep that shine and that tint on your lips, of course, like most lip glosses. This is not a plumping gloss. It doesn't have any kind of tingle to it, which is nice, but I do feel like, I think the name Lip Jelly is really appropriate here because it really does feel like a jelly. Like it almost has a gel sort of feel as you apply it to your lips. And I also feel like gel is a good word to describe kind of the opacity of it, because you can see it's not fully opaque like the Milani Keep It Full Nourishing Lip Plumping glosses. I would call those an opaque formula, like the color goes on pretty opaque. This, it's a little bit more translucent, like you can kind of see through it in places. So it just goes on your lips looking very juicy and kind of glassy. I really do see why so many people enjoy these glosses. They're very comfortable, they're not sticky, they don't have a strong smell, they have just kind of a very light, maybe sugar cookie kind of scent, but super mild. I don't smell it once it's on my lips, and I definitely don't taste anything. This comes with 0.13 fluid ounces, which is the same amount that the Milani one comes with. That is a little bit on the lower side when it comes to lip glosses. Some lip glosses are more like around 0.2 ounces or even 0.25, some like really big ones. So I did notice there was one day, like the first day I got this, I wore this and I reapplied it like 5 times that day because I was just really enjoying it and I was out and about. And I did notice that after I'd had it like kind of sitting upright for a little while, I had already used like a pretty good chunk of it. So, you know, I think you probably will go through this quickly if you use it daily. It doesn't have a ton of bang for your buck there, but at the same time, you know, if you have a big lip gloss collection, you might not even notice that. So formula-wise, really loving. I think this is great. It's kind of a nice cross between a lip balm sort of feeling and a lip gloss. The color is gorgeous, so I definitely do recommend that, and I kind of want more shades now, not gonna lie. But yeah, I just feel like looking up close, my lips look really good. Like they look very juicy and plump, even though it's not technically a plumping gloss. It kind of just like smooths over the lines, just makes your lips look really nice. So that is my speed reviews, a nice little quick roundup of just a few products that I've been testing out over the last couple of months. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you have any questions about these products, maybe I missed some certain detail, let me know in the comments and I will get back to you. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you've not already, and hopefully I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye!